Hello and welcome to another episode of the Islamic Finance Weekly, where we capture the activities in the non-interest finance market. All over the world, investment in education is a critical component of national development efforts. Most nations today depend increasingly on knowledge, ideas, and skills which are produced through research in universities. The role of universities in human capital development, research, and technological innovation cannot be overemphasized. Looking at Nigeria as a case study, funding remains the biggest challenge confronting the country's education system. Nigeria's educational system is experiencing the crisis of infrastructural decay, neglect, waste of resources, and sordid conditions of service. Looking at Islamic finance education, there is a global shortage of people with demonstrable expertise. With the current weak education system in Nigeria, what is the hope for Islamic finance education, which is yet to be deployed to school curriculum? And what is the approach to producing quality human resources in Islamic banking and finance? Today on the program, we'll be discussing Nigerian educational system and the manpower deficit in the non-interest finance industry. My guest for this episode is Dr. Abubakar, Associate Professor of Islamic Finance, Yobe State University, Damaturu. He is also a lead consultant on Islamic finance at ANUTI Ethical Consulting Limited. Dr. Adams joins me virtually. Good morning, Dr. Abubakar. It is nice to have you again on the Islamic Finance Weekly. Let me begin with the fact that from the inception of democracy in Nigeria, it is no longer a news that in every government regime there must be an industrial action of strike demonstrated, either by the Nigeria Labour Congress, Trade Union Congress, or Academic Staff Union of Universities, that is ASUU, which in one way or the other cripple activities in related sectors. Share with us your thoughts on ASUU strike and Nigerian educational system.
Actually, this strike shouldn't have stayed this long. But the reality is that my personal thought about the ASUU strike is that something that in the previous years contributed immensely towards the revitalization and protecting the university system in the country. Even though I have opinion that there is it as an intellectual community, that ASUU should find another way which is less harming, that will make government to sit up to its responsibility and to make sure that the university system is being protected. But nevertheless, when you compare other institutions that don't have strong union to protect them, you can see that they have already collapsed. Take, for example, NEPA, NITAL, and even in the education sector. Take, for example, our public or public primary and secondary institutions, how they collapsed and they are relegated to decay. You may rarely find child of any educational administrator at upper or lower level in such schools. And this happened because there is no anybody that feels responsible for protecting such institutions. Therefore, ASUU strike actually has a very long devastating effect on the economy and the entire sector of the different sectors of the country. Because any shift, be it positive or negative, in the education sector must have a replica and must have a spillover effect on the other critical sectors in the country, be it security, be it political, and even the social stability. Therefore, we pray that very soon this strike issue will be resolved and our wards will resume back to their classes.
We pray so, Dr. Adam. You know, the ongoing ASUU strike is a major setback to Nigeria's educational system. We need government to prefer long-term solution. And I will also implore the students to make use of this period to invest deeply in personal development and be hopeful.
Actually, particularly for entrepreneurship and personal capacity development. Exactly.
Talking about education, we know that education plays a leading role in ensuring the transformation of countries from developing to developed nations, and for students to be qualified as professionals in their various careers. What are the factors responsible for the scarcity of talent in Islamic finance?
Yeah, actually, the issue of scarcity of talents in Islamic finance or manpower deficit,
Yes,
or human resource deficit rather, in the Islamic finance industry is a global phenomenon. Because according to a research by Capital Market Regulators Forum, about 82% of the selected countries where the research is carried out are experiencing shortage of talent in Islamic finance. And even among the existing ones, more than 62% required professional training and skills development. Therefore, it is not only peculiar to Nigeria. But coming back to Nigeria, actually, so many factors are responsible for the scarcity of talent in Islamic finance. Number one is the novelty of the industry, because it is just recently we celebrated a decade of regulated Islamic finance activities in the country, and you know how it takes time to build human capital. Besides the drought of the institutions that offer Islamic finance training at upper and lower level. To the best of my knowledge, I don't know any polytechnic, for example, or university that offer a national diploma, for example, in Islamic banking and finance, or BSc in Islamic banking and finance. All we have is that of International Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance of Bayero University, Kano, with some attempts by some institutions like University of Lagos Business School, and more recently, the Ahmadu Bello University Zaria, ABU, which tried also to do something. So this is also one of the major challenges. Besides this, there is high cost of certification and training of Islamic finance, because most of the certification bodies and authorities are not residing here in Nigeria, are abroad. And you know the issue of the crisis of Forex and the exchange rate, the Naira is always in the valuation. So you see, if you are to pay $1,000 for a certification, for example, it's not easy for anyone to afford such amount. Besides, there are other factors such as lack of proper awareness for so many experts that are having so many potentials, and there are so many also prospects to unlock by these experts. For example, lawyers, accountants, Sharia experts, IT experts when it comes to fintech. All these, they need only very slight or very short course for them to become expert in Islamic finance, and they will get a lot of opportunities available in the industry. And beside this, there is lack of mentorship by the very few that are trained and are knowledgeable in Islamic finance. So these are the basic factors responsible for the scarcity of talent in Islamic finance. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Dr. Adam. You know, the number of full-fledged Islamic banks and conventional banks offering non-interest finance service in Nigeria has been on a steady rise recently. So what are the skills to acquire for successful careers in Islamic finance?
Yeah, actually, there are so many skills that are expected to be acquired by anyone who is expected to build a career in Islamic finance. Firstly, beside having his first degree, for example, or diploma, for example, in Islamic finance, in any related field to Islamic finance, it can be in accounting, it can be in economics, then there is need for someone to acclimatize himself with the basic principles of Islamic finance, as well as the modern banking operations. Then there is need for undergoing professional training by some of the professional institutions that are offering. For example, in Nigeria, we have International Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance of Cairo University, and we have Institute of Islamic Finance Professional in Lagos, which offers some professional courses. And there is Nungu Business School, and some of the very few institutions that are providing it. Then there are other international trainings that are being offered. Some are offered by INSEF under Bank Negara of Malaysia, and there is Chartered Institute of Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment UK. They offer a professional training for Islamic finance, which is called Islamic Finance Qualification, IFQ. So these are some of the trainings that someone can undergo so that can build his or her own capacity. Then beside this, there is certification, which will make someone to be a licensed practitioner according to the area where he or she is specializing. For example, if somebody is an accountant going to be a professional accountant in Islamic finance, he needs to undergo SIPA. There is what we call Certified Islamic Professional Accountant, SIFA. It is being offered by ANUTI, Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions. Or if somebody wants to become an expert of Sharia, to become Sharia auditor or Sharia advisor, there is need for CISA, Certified Sharia Advisor and Auditor, which is also a certification by ANUTI, Accounting and Auditing Organization for Islamic Financial Institutions. Besides this, there are other organizations that provide such professional certifications, such as SBATI, which certify bankers, which is called CIB, Certified Islamic Bankers. The last but not the least is, having obtained this certification, there is need for career choice in Islamic finance, because there are so many components. We have banking, we have capital market, we have takaful, which is Islamic insurance. Then there is Islamic social finance. So for someone that is trying to build a career in Islamic finance, he needs to identify which area is he going to specialize. Is it capital market? Then we'll go for appropriate conventional certifications. For example, if it is in the capital market, somebody will go for Chartered Institute of Securities or Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers of Nigeria, CIS, so that he can become an associate after undergoing the mandatory or specified courses. So if somebody marries these conventional certification with the Islamic finance certification, this will assist him to be a very strong material in the area or in the career he chooses in Islamic finance. So also in the banking sector, besides having SIFA, Certified Islamic Financial Professional Accountant, somebody may be an associate of Chartered Institute of Bankers, CIBM. So all these are certifications that are conventional and are related to Islamic finance, because the operations, when it comes to the corporate governance and other general operations and regulatory framework, are almost all the same. So this is how someone can build a career in the Islamic finance in general. Thank you.
Yes, sir. Graduates preparing themselves to work with Islamic banking and finance must also have the knowledge, capacity in Sharia and other soft skills.
Exactly.
All right, so you mentioned having professional certification and membership in the Islamic finance industry. But apart from the Institute of Islamic Finance Professionals, the IIFP, do we have any other organization training students on Islamic finance studies through internship, training, or even short courses in Nigeria?
Yes, as I mentioned earlier, the Institute of Islamic Finance Professional, IIFP, is one of the professional institutions that are non-governmentally established and provide Islamic financial training. But beside it, even before its establishment, the Pioneer Institute was the International Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance under Bayero University, which has been offering professional masters in Islamic banking and finance, MIBF, and even academic masters in Islamic banking and finance. Even though there is no undergraduate there, and there were some attempts to even offer PhDs in Islamic banking and finance. So also there are other institutions like Nungu Business School. They introduce postgraduate diploma in Islamic banking and finance. And also International Center for Culture and Education in Abuja also is providing some short certifications and diploma programs under ANUTI Academy in Islamic banking and finance, usually in collaboration with the International Institute of Islamic Banking and Finance, BUK. Besides, there are some attempts by Ahmadu Bello University Zaria to offer such programs, and very recently, University of Lagos Business School introduced professional masters in non-interest banking and finance. So in general, there are some attempts, and there is need for synergy between such institutions and the operators and even non-interest financial institutions, so that they will assist in developing Islamic finance education in the country. This synergy can be achieved, one, through integration of the curriculum. That is, besides introducing the full-fledged or stand-alone programs at undergraduate and postgraduate level, there is need also for integrating some of the Islamic finance courses into some social and management courses and even some art courses. For example, departments of Islamic studies can introduce in our various universities, can introduce introduction to Islamic law of mu'amalat, can introduce Islamic economic thought, can introduce introduction to Islamic banking and finance, or modern banking operations. All these are courses that will assist students when they graduate to build career in Islamic finance.
Definitely, Dr. Adam, synergy between the industry experts and the academia will expand the scope of non-interest finance in Nigeria. Well, what is the prospect of Islamic finance education in the country?
Yeah, actually, the prospects of Islamic finance education in the country cannot be overemphasized, because if you look at the level at which the industry is growing, it is always a double digit. And some of the researchers even attributed it to about 25% growth rates, particularly in the country. And this is not surprise if you consider the rapid development in the Islamic finance industry in Nigeria. Because as it stands, we have currently we have 3 full-fledged Islamic banks, with 2 that are having national license. That is, the Jaiz Bank and the Taj Bank are now having national license, while Lotus Bank is having regional license. We have about 2 Islamic banks that are offering Islamic banking windows. That is, conventional banks that are offering Islamic window system, Sterling Bank and Sun Trust. So also we have about 3 Islamic microfinance banks, Tijara, Halal, Aikia, all these within this short period of time. When you look at the Sukuk, we have about total 6 issuances of public Sukuk, with the 4 sovereign and 1 sub-sovereign, and the recent one of family homes, which is public. So also when you go to the capital market operators, you see we have about 4 standalone fund managers: Lotus, 117, Trust Bank, and Marble Capital. All these are introduced very recently, and you have about 9 mutual halal mutual funds that are Sharia compliant. And very recently, the non-interest fund that was introduced by the PENCOM, Nigerian Pension Commission, which mandated all pension fund administrators, which are about 20 in the country operating, to have a non-interest fund, which is Islamic fund, that the RSA holders have, where RSA holders will have their money invested in ethical investments. This is just to tell you a little about the opportunities and the prospects of Islamic finance education. Therefore, even if we have double or triple of the expert we have they will not even certify the available vacancies, and the rate of growth keeps on growing and growing. Therefore, there are so many prospects for Islamic finance education in the country.
No, if the government could increase investment in education, it would revolutionize the economy and society. So we need more investment on education.
Have spillover effect, which will affect the economy at the macro and micro level.
Exactly. Thank you very much, Dr. Adam. On a final note, what do you recommend as a strategy to fill the wide gap of human resources in the Nigerian Islamic finance industry?
One of the strategies is that we need to start inculcating this right from our younger generations, to inculcate in them who wants to build a career, who wants to build those younger ones who want to build career in Islamic finance in our curriculum, that is in our secondary school curriculum, that we catch them at younger age. Then at the level of the educational regulators, that is NUC and particularly the MBTE, they're supposed to introduce benchmark minimum academic standards for the national diplomas and both undergraduate and postgraduate programs in Islamic finance, because it is an emerging area and from all indication, and we are hoping that it came to stay. So also there is need for the non-interest financial institutions, out of their corporate social responsibility, to sponsor some of these certifications and trainings, because as we highlighted earlier, that these certifications are very, very expensive. So if some of these institutions can set aside some funds as part of their corporate social responsibility, they award scholarships or some discounts for those younger generations who wants to build career in Islamic finance, but they don't have the means. So if such scholarships or such funds are kept aside, then it will assist in covering the manpower gap or deficit in the Islamic finance. So also there is need for collaboration between some of the international certification bodies. For example, as you mentioned, AOFI, SIBAFI. Then there is need for integration between our existing professional or certification institutions. For example, Chartered Institute of Bankers can collaborate with AOFI, can collaborate with SIBAFI, so that they can step down some of their trainings and simplify it for younger generations who want to build career in Islamic finance. So also, for example, Chartered Institute of Securities and Investment in UK, which they offer IFQ Islamic finance qualification. They can also partner and collaborate with the Chartered Institute of Stockbrokers, CIS, so that they can step down such trainings and programs. This will also assist in building the manpower needed in the industry. The last but not the least is that there is need for mentorship. The very little resources we have, very little experts we have, should endeavor to train the younger ones, so that we can have a chain or generation that will continue from where these experts, the very little experts we have, so that these younger ones will learn from them. And above all, there is need for massive campaign and awareness creation for different experts, because some of the experts that are having so many potentials and they are busy looking for jobs, and the jobs are nowhere to be found, while there are so many opportunities available in Islamic finance. All they need, as a lawyer, you just need to go for a certification to become an expert in Islamic finance. You see there are so many opportunities in banking, in capital market, in takaful, and even in the Islamic social finance, zakat, work. All these are areas that are having so many opportunities. So also accountants, you just need to go and have CIPA certified Islamic professional accountant. You now have so many opportunities in banks and even non-banking sector. So also as IT expert, when you are IT expert, there are so many opportunities in product development in the Islamic fintech which is an emerging area where you just go and have some certification and you have a lot of opportunities. So also Sharia experts, people who study Sharia, people who study Islamic studies, they just need to go and have that training. They can go for IFQ, they can go for CISA, Certified Sharia Advisor and Auditor, and there are so many opportunities there available. So there is need for massive campaign and awareness creation so that people will now understand the opportunities so that they will work towards their realization. By this, it is our hope that the scarcity of talent in Islamic finance will be reduced to the minimal level, inshallah.
Indeed, human capital development central to Islamic finance. And talking about massive campaign, Nigeria should benchmark country like Malaysia. The Central Bank of Malaysia established the first global Islamic finance university. So, government has a big role to play in investing in Islamic finance knowledge.
Exactly.
Thank you very much, Dr. Adam Abubakar, for sharing your thoughts with us on Nigeria educational system and the manpower deficit in the Islamic finance industry.
Thank you for having me.
We appreciate you, and we hope to feature you on another topical issues in the Islamic finance system. Thank you. Have a nice day and take care. A major takeaway is the need for more collaboration between the Islamic finance institutions and institutions of higher learning, with 2 universities adopting Islamic finance studies already in Nigeria. It is expected that several others will adopt it to improve the human resource in the alternative finance market. And that will be all for this edition of the Islamic Finance Weekly. You can log on to our website, proshare.co, to watch our videos and read our news stories and follow our social media platforms for further engagement. Till we come your way again, thank you for watching and have a lovely day.